Cocoa, the main ingredient in the world's most famous snack, chocolate bars. They have a very dark beginning. A beginning so dark leaves every indulgence with a bitter taste. I am hoping by the end of this video, your next bite will give you more satisfaction than you've ever had in any bar of chocolate. But that is with the condition that your indulgence in this sweetie treat is ethical. So, there is only one place to unravel this: Ivory Coast. With about 64% of the world's cocoa coming from West Africa, Ivory Coast by far exports the largest chunk of it. The nation singularly accounts for 40% of world's cocoa, making it the top cocoa bean producer globally, a position it snatched in 1978 from Ghana to become the world's top cocoa bean producer. Ivory Coast, or Côte d'Ivoire, whichever you may prefer, has stood as the reigning champion in the world of cocoa, producing and exporting a whopping 40% of the globe's cocoa beans, the magical ingredient behind everyone's favorite sweet indulgence. Fast forward to today. This agricultural treasure is the heartbeat of the nation's economy, making up 40% of its export income. In a year, Ivory Coast generates an estimated 2 million tons of cocoa. Despite Ivory Coast's sweet reign in the cocoa kingdom, its farmers face a bitter reality, earning a mere $0.78 per day and reaping just about 4% of the cocoa industry's mouth-watering $100 billion annual bounty. You may be thinking, that's so unfair, but I would say that's a milk chocolate in comparison to the extremely dark use of children in those farms. Did you know nearly 1.5 million children are engaged in hazardous child labor on cocoa farms in Ivory Coast and Ghana, which when combined produce over 60% of the world's cocoa? Over 30,000 children are trafficked from nearby Burkina Faso and Mali to work on cocoa plantations. Between 2018 and 2019, on the cocoa farms where sweet dreams of chocolate begin, a bitter reality unfolded. The Ivory Coast saw around 800,000 children caught in the grip of child labor. 40% of these young workers weren't attending school, and a mere 5% received any pay. The cocoa fields became classrooms of hardship where childhoods were traded for labor and the promise of education melted away like chocolate in the sun. UNICEF further estimates nearly 35,000 Ivorian children working on cocoa farms as victims of trafficking. These children come from across the border from Burkina Faso into Côte d'Ivoire in search of greener pastures. Even though Ivory Coast cocoa pastures are green, what are the prospects of these young boys flourishing on those pastures? They work on the farm with barely any food, water, or even shelter. But these children are not the only ones suffering. The farmers also share in this suffering. Since 2020, the Ivorian government's efforts to get chocolatiers to pay premiums on cocoa prices have hit an unyielding wall. Big chocolate companies have been stubbornly resisting anything that might nibble away at their profits, leaving the government's attempts as fruitless as a cocoa tree in the winter. In the winding journey of the cocoa supply chain, the farmer is the lowest on this chain. When the cocoa pods have ripened and have been harvested, the cocoa seeds are then taken out of the pods and left out to dry. Once dried, they are bagged, and that is when the middleman comes in. The next on the production chain are the pisteurs. A pisteur buys as much cocoa as he can for him to make money. The more cocoa he buys, the more money he makes. The faster the pisteurs work, the more they earn. But their job is fraught with danger. Hijackers lurk in the shadows, ready to kill and steal their precious cargo. To combat this threat, many pisteurs disguise themselves as young farmers blending in to stay safe. Once the pisteurs buy the cocoa from farmers, they deliver it to warehouses known as cooperatives, third link on this chain of middlemen. Unlike typical cooperatives that work for the common good, Ivory Coast cooperatives are private enterprises, funded by various parties to gather as much cocoa as possible for export. They handle logistics and transportation, existing in both small-scale and large-scale forms. Small-scale cooperatives gather beans from farms, while larger ones near port cities like Abidjan and San Pedro collect vast quantities for export. Next in line are the exporters, who collect the beans and prepare them for export. Fun fact, the Ivorian government issues only 100 export licenses a year, sometimes through auctions. This makes the competition fierce and the stakes high. The cocoa traders are the next in this sweet chocolatey supply chain. They purchase cocoa beans and products from government-licensed exporters, delivering them to customers around the globe. These traders are the wealthiest players in the game. They buy vast amounts of beans at the London price on futures contracts. And when the beans are ready to ship, enormous sums of money change hands. Sadly, none of this wealth trickles down to the farmers. These traders sell to corporations in America and Europe, such as Mars, Nestle, and Hershey. Sometimes, they even convert the beans into chocolate themselves. They grind the beans into a paste known as cocoa liquor, not the kind to get you tipsy. From this liquor, they extract cocoa butter, with the remnants becoming cocoa powder. Among the top 3 cocoa traders in the world are Barry Callebaut, Cargill, and Holland. Interestingly, some chocolates might have been processed by these giants, but you'd never know it. Why, you ask? It's because they produce for mainstream chocolate companies and never put their label on the finished product. Let's talk more about these cocoa traders. Did you know that the choices made by just a handful of these traders directly affect cocoa prices? Though these multinational marketers might deny controlling market prices, but then you buy a quarter of the world's cocoa beans, it's hard not to have influence. In 2016, the international price for cocoa soared to $3,000 only to crash to less than half that by 2017. This drastic fluctuation is usually due to the forces of excess demand or supply. When prices crash, whether due to traders' actions or other factors, the hardest hit are always the farmers. Next up in the cocoa supply chain are the retailers. They buy chocolate from producers, fill their shelves with different variations of chocolatey delights ready for customers to indulge in. Each bite of chocolate has a rich backstory, tracing a complex journey from farmers to pisteurs, cooperatives, exporters, traders, chocolate producers, and finally to retailers. Chocolate companies often face immense pressure from retailers to keep prices low if they want to maintain their coveted spots on the shelves. The bittersweet truth is that no matter how much profit the retailers, manufacturers, traders, cooperatives, and even the pisteurs rake in, the farmers still rarely ever get the bite of the chocolate they truly deserve. This delicious treat hides a tale of economic disparity, where the ones who nurture the cocoa trees often remain at the bottom of the ladder. In 2010, Ivory Coast took a bold step forward by passing laws to prohibit child trafficking and the worst forms of child labor. They didn't stop there. By 2017, these cocoa-producing giants had rolled out a list of hazardous jobs banned for under-18s, alongside a list of approved tasks for those aged 13 to 16 that can be done outside school hours. The country made schooling compulsory and free for all children aged 6 to 16, raising the minimum age for full-time employment from 14 to 16. Awareness campaigns were launched to fight trafficking, exploitation, and hazardous work. The government has poured over $40 million into combating this hydra-headed monster that has plagued Ivory Coast for so long. Cocoa traders have also vowed to tackle this issue within their supply chains, pledging to boycott farmers who use child labor. However, monitoring this is tricky and it could limit supply. So far, this approach has been less than effective. International organizations like the ILO, FAO, UNICEF, and ITC have joined forces to address child labor in Ivory Coast cocoa supply chains. Additionally, efforts are underway to increase the number of adult farm workers in the labor market. Despite these challenges, the fight continues, weaving together laws, education, international collaboration, and corporate responsibility in a bid to give every child a chance at a better future. Many of these well-intentioned efforts have hit the brick wall of reality. For starters, many cocoa farmers live in such deep poverty that the economic pressure to involve children in labor is immense. Especially as young men, as a matter of fact, anyone with a choice won't want to live on a 78 cents a day. Child labor is often seen as necessary means to boost household income. In some societies, it is even culturally accepted and viewed as a way for children to learn valuable farming skills. Changing these deep-rooted beliefs is like trying to turn a cocoa pod into a diamond. Good luck with that. Moreover, the powerful influence of large companies over market prices can undermine efforts to pay fair prices to farmers, thereby preserving the vicious cycle of poverty and child labor. These corporate giants can sometimes act like cocoa overlords, keeping prices low and making it difficult for farmers to break free from their economic shackles. It's a complex dance of commerce and culture where the smallest players often carry the heaviest burdens. While significant strides have been made in tackling child labor in the cocoa industry, the journey is far from over. The intricate dance of laws, corporate pledges, and international collaborations all aim to create a future where children can enjoy their childhoods free from labor. But the power to drive meaningful change isn't just in the hands of governments and corporations. It's also in yours, the consumer. By being aware of the dark side of chocolate production, you can make informed choices that support ethical and sustainable practices. Look for certifications like Fair Trade and Rainforest Alliance when you indulge in chocolate, and support brands committed to fair labor practices. Every purchase is a vote for the kind of world we want to create, where the sweet delight of chocolate doesn't come at the cost of a child's future. Together, we can ensure that the story of chocolate becomes one of joy, fairness, sustainable prosperity for everyone involved. So, the next time you unwrap a bar of chocolate, savor not just the flavor but also the positive impact you are making. Now that you have been made aware of the dark side of chocolate, you can equip yourself more on these issues. Drop a comment on what you think in the comment section and let us know your thoughts. Please do not forget to like and subscribe. And on that note, I'll be catching you on the next one. Cheers, guys.